Hello, 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 everybody. I am your androgynous android game show host from the future, Nathan Blades, and this is the Neoncaster Twitch channel. Hello, hello, hello. I am gonna just do some minor adjustments to volume and other bits and pieces like that. How are we doing? How are we doing, everybody? The microphone is a little further from my face than normal, mostly to assist in it not directly getting in my hands way when we're doing a crafting stream. But yes, I hope we're all doing delightfully on this Saturday afternoon in the UK, Saturday morning if you're in the US. It is also International Non-Binary Visibility Week, and it was, in fact, International Non-Binary People's Day yesterday, so I was celebrating with other members of Black Twitch UK, other non-binary members of Black Twitch UK, and it was a joy. It was genuinely really a delight to be able to go and celebrate our simultaneous blackness and queerness while just chilling out and playing Jackbox. It was a nice time. It was a nice time. It was a nice time. But this, what we have going on today, is a miniature kit bash. As you can see in the description below, you can read, I believe you, using a thing I designed relatively recently. It's been a hot second since I last put out a tabletop RPG, but because miniature war games are on my mind and just generally hanging around in my brain pan at the minute, I was thinking a lot about miniature war games and games that specifically use tabletop miniatures and the process of customizing them to make things to play games with. There is a miniature war game called Turnip 28, which is very specifically encouraging you to make your own miniatures. It's like a mashup of medieval fantasy and, like, I want to say Napoleonic historical, with a big helping of like sludge, grime, and gribbliness on top of it, which is, for me personally, not my jam, but I do respect a game that encourages people to create as well as to play. And so that was weighing on in my head, and I was also looking at, hey, love a gribbliness. Hey Naomi, what's good? I unfortunately am not a gribbly person at all. I am definitely much more of a clean and polished, like, modern sci-fi look. I'm one of those anime weebs, right? Where everybody is glistening and perfect and there is no slime involved at all, right? So I was like, I respect the creativity of that process, but the grime is not for me. I need to think of a different way of that kind of energy. But I guess in that same kind of space, I've also been looking at stuff like, listen, some of us can't be perfect anime vibes. I mean, I can't be either. In real life, I'm a mess. But in the realm of fiction, in the realm of games that I play, I could be the perfect anime bishinin of my dreams. But I was also looking at, like, Morkborg and Cyborg, right? And they have unofficial miniature war games. There is one for Morkborg called Forbidden Psalm, which uses the rules of Morkborg, but is about a tabletop miniature skirmish game. And that came with a pretty neat randomized roll table to let you create your miniatures that you would use in the warband of the game. And I'm like, that's sick. I love that. And the designer did another war game for Cyborg, which is much more in terms of my genre and my mood, but they didn't do the design roll table for it. And I was like, oh, well then I'll make one. That's fine, I'll make one. It's all good. So I'll show you it. Let me just go and pass this over. Hello. And we're gonna go and put some jams on, and the jams at a reasonable level so that it doesn't blow out your ears. That should be good. And let's go and reveal the Blacklight Sprawl randomized roll table. Ta-da! You can also... Oh, thank you. There's got to be... We have to be able to do that so you can see what I'm making. This camera here doesn't have like a depth of focus thing. It's good for catching portraits, but terrible for catching minis. Music needs to come down by 10%. Can do. There we go. Hopefully that's better. Thank you for letting me know. Yeah, what was I? Yes, the Blacklight Sprawl. This is the randomized roll table that I created, used to go and create Neon Sludge Cyberpunk minis, as it says there. You can obtain it yourself with the command !Blacklight in the chat. Yeah, there we go. You can get the PDF for free at sixofspades.itch.io. Or you can pay what you want. You can give me some ducats for it. I won't be mad at you if you pay me slightly for it. That'd be all right. That'd be nice of you. But yes, you know, and it's an easy-to-read version. There's a non-eye-searing version of it as well on the P4DF version. So if that is more your jam, please do get it that way. But yes, I did some rolling on this table in advance. I actually recorded my rolling of it for TikTok because that's what creators have to do now, is make TikToks, which is a bit of a nightmare, but you know, it must be done. And we rolled the following. We rolled antenna for the head, armor plated, and that's number 12, armor plated for the fashion. Hip with the kids. Yeah, you gotta. I mean, I have worked with some PR people that were specifically looking for creators who were making content on TikTok, and they were kind of very, very encouraging of anybody who they wanted to start working with them to start also using it. So I'm kind of like, well, okay, we're going to have to be on our influencer arc. Now, we were previously on the anti-influencer arc, and we've kind of moved back into the kind of content creator space at this point of the year. So, but yes, we rolled number 7, antenna. Number 12, armor plated for fashion. Under weapons, we rolled 5 for construction tools. And under special feature, we rolled 3, which is inhuman skin color or texture. So with all of that in mind, I went rummaging around in some of my Kitbash bits boxes, like this one. All the pieces in there. And I actually have 2 of them. My collection of miniature bits and pieces is now large enough where I split it between 2 separate boxes. My life has fully gone entirely out of control. But yes, and I managed to find some pieces, and I did go and record some of the pieces that I found on camera, but as we were winding up for this stream, I went back digging in some of the boxes that I didn't look at when I was initially looking, and I found more. I found a lot of things. This also gives me an opportunity to go and double check the focus on the camera so we can get the focus at the right and color balancing at the right thing. The focus seems actually pretty good. We're going to be working roughly around this distance. If I'm horrendously out of focus, do let me know. I might tweak that a little bit though. Yeah, there we go. Depth of field, perfect. So I had these 2 Necromunda bodies that we found. These are actually from the same kit. I love how kind of DIY rags and scrapped together bits and pieces that they are. I quite like these. But a piece that I definitely want to use when I rolled armor plated, I was like, oh, even though I don't normally collect fantasy things, a while ago, I got these kind of like knight legs, and they're surprisingly like svelte. I think these are supposed to be femme-coded knight legs, and I'm like, I definitely want to use these in a cyberpunk miniature. I think that would be a really cool contrast of like a fantasy and modern. So I have to go and find something that kind of fits the scale. And unfortunately, these bodies aren't really at the same scale of these legs, so I can't really use these, but that's okay. That's okay. We were digging around. I previously had found these torsos from Stargrave. They're kind of like spaceship crew members. They're not heavily armored, but they are definitely at the kind of scale for these. And then in digging around today, I found this really, really cheap piece of shit miniature. Sometimes you can get like bargain bins of like really cheaply vacuum formed stuff. Like this spear is horrendously bent. I'd have to kind of like put it into some hot water to be able to straighten it back out again. But I'm like, oh, this actually has some serious Mad Max vibes on it. In some ways, I could be really lazy and just kind of switch out what she's holding. But I'm committed to seeing if I can use these legs, and these legs are actually the correct scale. So we're going to be cutting this apart for the torso. I don't think I need the head and the arms. We're going to switch out the head and the arms of other things. But I really like the torso of this, so we're definitely going to be using that. And then it's stuff like, okay, what kind of head do we want? The theming is antenna. So we have this. Oh, the distancing of this is kind of small, but you can see this. This kind of like a robot head, the Sicarian head from an Adeptus Mechanicus kit. I love the little like a R2-D2 looking ass shape and the antenna on it as well. That's pretty cool. But we do also have, where'd it go? This head, this screaming head, but he has kind of like a weird reptilian alien texture to the skin. It's not like a fully human head, and I'm like, okay, inhuman texture and skin color, that's perfect. So we're probably going to be using this. So we're going to be removing her head and putting this bigger, in fact, alien one on top, which makes me laugh. I think that's pretty fun. Using the night legs, and then we have to kind of decide what kind of construction tools were also part of the listing, yeah? And we've got some options. We've got this one holding a wrench. We've got like a kind of like a heavy-duty robot arm, like a servicing drone. This might be a welding tool of some kind, like electricity crackles across the little contact points there. That could be one. I have this cool-looking like chainsaw staff thing. And I genuinely love this. I've been waiting for something to use this in something. This might not be the right one for it. When I found it, I was like, ooh, is this the time? Is this the time? It might not be the time. We'll see. And then just general stuff like, oh, a hammer, or like this is like a hand drill of some kind, alongside weird things like communicators and beer bottles and shit. There was this kit that I obtained off Troll Trader. Troll Trader exists as a way to go and buy specifically Games Workshop kits secondhand, including some of their weird like one-off board game stuff. And it has these kind of like Tesla coil cultist motherfuckers, and they all have these little tasers, and I'm like, that could be justified maybe as a construction tool. Is this some kind of weird futuristic welding tool maybe? So that's also a thing to consider. I'm not sold on it, but it is a pretty cool looking thing. Yeah, we might experiment with it. I have a feeling we're probably going to build the legs, torso, and head first, and then just agonize for a really long time about how we do the arms. And then we also have stuff like what kinds of backpacks they might have. This is more of a kind of like camping style one, or like it's got stuff like a cable and this weird, maybe this is a landmine actually, which is kind of interesting. This another Adeptus Mechanicus kind of backpack, and it's got a whole bunch of like a weird plasma radiator on the back of it. Options. Fun looking shoulder with these speakers on it. It might be a bit too big to put on this mini, but yeah, we have options. I need to stop. I mean, I also managed to just find a regular ass crowbar. I knew I had one in the collection and couldn't find it, so we might use the crowbar as well. We'll see. Some of these things you go and find the pieces and you play to find out. But enough me belly aching. We need to start putting some snips to some characters. So we're just gonna nudge all this out of the way, because we know what we're going to be working on first. We're going to be taking the snips to this one. And it shouldn't be too hard to remove the arms. That's not too hard. And the head should be easy as well. The legs might be a bit more of a project. I think we can use the detail snips for the arms. My green stuff world snips. Been using these for quite a while. They might be starting to get blunt. I may have to look into getting new ones. But just making... you can only cut these things once, you know? Oop, ping! And there off it goes, Dismembered. But that was pretty easy. And that's a pretty smooth surface to work with as well. I'll file that down in a bit afterwards as well, but yeah, that seems pretty straightforward. Let's go and get the other side. This shoulder pad is going to be in the way a little bit, so I might have to... Oh, do I remove the head first? Ooh, let's remove the head first. I feel like whenever I do these, I feel like Sid in Toy Story, with the kind of all the toys that he cut apart to make new stuff. To be honest, that kid's iconic. So I've removed the head, but the hair seems to also be molded to the miniature. So this is going to be a little bit of extra work in kind of getting it away from the... This might be a craft knife situation, actually. Remember to cut away from yourselves, kids. But yeah, Naomi, how you been? How you been? What you been up to? You, when I mentioned the Blacklight Sprawl stuff initially, you're like, oh, kitbashing's cool. But you've not necessarily done any of that kind of thing yourself. But you also mentioned that you'd done green stuff thing, like sculpting before. And I personally find that very impressive. I've not really ever sculpted anything as part of my minis yet. And hey, one day... I don't know whether today is necessarily it. I don't actually have any proper green stuff to hand. I have like a milliput, which is similarly a sculpting tool, but a bit more, a lot less flexible, as I understand. Okay, we're almost there. Just need to kind of get the last bit of wiggling going. Fortunately, this plastic being as cheap as it is means it's actually quite soft and flexible. So it's been pretty easy to get inside. Oh, there it goes. Head removed. And the back isn't too damaged either, actually. That is easy enough to cover up with a backpack of some kind. Where did the head go? And I didn't damage the head too much. So we should be able to use this in the future with something else. Which is always nice. It's always nice to be able to, if you're cutting a mini apart, be like, oh, I can use these bits and pieces later for other things. And this has made it a lot easier to get into the shoulder. I don't want to damage the armor too much. So we're being careful here in terms of where I'm snipping. Okay. This is sort of going. But then this is the easy part of this kit bash I'm feeling. This might be another craft knife situation, just a more detailed digging. Yeah, this plastic is quite soft, so it's pretty easy to cut through. But no, I remember it was at a UK Games Expo, not this year, but the year before, that I bought this mini. And it was part of, like, you know, one of those big tubs of cheap miniatures, and it's like, hey, 50p a pound each. And I was like, oh yeah, this feels like something I could use later on. So I'm glad that I finally get to use it, and I'm not just a big liar. Okay, here we go. It's getting there. I'm trying to, the material's not difficult to cut through, but I'm trying my best to both keep this in shot and not cut myself. And also not damage either the arm or the torso too much. I guess this is one of the things that, there we go. Green stuff is useful for, right? Being able to resculpt bits that you might break. Okay. Oh, yeah. So we have our headless torso. Next step is deciding how we remove the torso from the legs. Or, actually, to be honest, we've already removed the head. I can probably get away with getting the Dremel out and already starting to carve the space where this head will go. That feels like a thing that I can do first. And it might be easier to do while there is a firm base to hold onto as well. Let me go and change the focus, since I'm probably going to have to hold this a little further away. God, so picky. Okay, this'll do. Sipping my coffee as we go. We're just going to score the top of this neck that we've carved quite lightly, just to give it, when we start using the pin. That's the thing, the pin vise. It's not a Dremel because it's not motorized. Although getting a motorized one might actually be quite fun to have. But yeah, just scoring the top of it in the neck so we can now get the pin vise out, and finding a nice good purchase where I have good grip, but I'm also not putting my hands in harm's way. Fortunately, again, because this is quite a soft plastic, it's not taking too much to get the drill in there. Yeah, that's looking good. Okay. I don't need to... Do I need to drill further than that? Maybe. Because we don't want to drill super far, we just want to be able to dig in enough to be able to work with this later. Okay. And then we need to go and get a larger gauge now that we've already drilled the small hole. Where are my drill bits? My drill bits are here. Getting one of the chunky ones. All right. Getting the pin vise nice and tight. Okay. Because the neck on this is pretty chunky. So we want to make sure... We're going to be clipping off some of this, but we want to make sure that there is a nice solid platform for it to attach to. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. That's looking reasonable to me. And then it's kind of deciding how we get this to sit here. Well, first things first, we don't need the little connector at the bottom, so we can just clip that away pretty easy. But I have a feeling we're probably going to need to shave off multiple layers of the bottom of the neck here. Refocusing. So it will sit a bit more sensibly on... That's already not terrible. I do love that this sculpt actually has a pretty pronounced rack, but it's a very masculine looking head. That makes me laugh. Okay. So what we're going to be getting on with here then, we're going to go and get the file and just file down some of this remainder. This soft plastic actually might take to plastic glue quite well, which will probably make the attachment process a lot easier for me. I'm going to turn the camera this way a little bit, because I'm realizing that I am holding it not in the middle of camera. That looks better. Okay. Let's fall down a bit and we can kind of start poking around for test fit. So I'm going to need to file this in a way where it's diagonal at the back, so it will sit in this space of the neck a little better. Okay, can do. Start filing it. Specifically at a diagonal like this. Again, because this is soft plastic, it actually is pretty malleable and will file and stuff very easily. It does mean that I have to make sure I don't overdo it. But I have a feeling we're probably going to want to remove a lot of this kind of like a base of the neck here. Okay. Let's see if you can see. We've already filed away a decent chunk of the neck. Let's test fit. I think we could almost get this. It just needs more of a recess in the torso, and I guess it could probably stand to be a little more worn down. Gosh, when it's this size, it can be a bit fiddly though. Okay. Another test fit. If I don't drop it, okay, that's fitting. That fits actually pretty nicely. I think once we get the top of this neck to sit flat, I think we're in there. Just getting the big file. We might need to go and resort to it being the smoother edge file so I don't over trash the detail here. And actually, if I end up using the plastic glue, we might be in there. I will probably have to test the plastic before I start doing that. While I'm at it, let's go and file away some of this excess plastic on the arms. Make sure that that is a surface that can go and attach nicely to whatever we put on there next. Okay, looks good. Yeah, I think that could sit there quite nicely. Let's go and test. Ooh. Let's get some of my Tamir extra thin cement. Gosh, the focus. Okay, yeah, there we go. And use it just on the end of one of these pieces, so like this shoulder here, and see if it melts it. Because if it does mean that we can use this rather than super glue, which would be great in terms of it holding, because it essentially fuses the plastics together. So I'm test applying it to a piece of scrap. We'll see if that holds. Hopefully it will. In the meantime, shall we start? Wow. I'm still having thoughts and considerations about arms and things like that before we start gluing bits and pieces in. Hey, Geester! Hello! How you doing today? You alright? Still thinking about what kind of arms and stuff I want to put in. A big robotic arm I think would be quite fun. We might even use a piece of armor plating on the shoulder to kind of mask the joint a little bit. But also, are these arms too small? Like, is this unconvincing as an arm for this torso? It looks okay. This fits reasonably well. Hold it closer to the camera. Like, that doesn't feel too big or too small. But yeah, Geester, how you doing? How you doing? How is your Saturday going? Oh, the inspiration for today. I will absolutely tell you about the inspiration for today. So I recently designed a randomized roll table to design cyberpunk miniatures called the Blacklight Sprawl. The table is right here. And if you put in !Blacklight into chat, you can go to a link to get a free PDF on my itch.io page. So you can use this roll table for yourself. I am genuinely really happy with this, and I would love for other folks who are interested in miniature kitbashing to go and give this a whirl to see what they can make. I would adore that a lot. But yes, please do go and put in !Blacklight, go to sixofspades.itch.io and find the free PDF for this. But yes, we did a randomized rolling last weekend, which I documented for TikTok, of all things. And we got under head and Tanner. Under... You could even use Hero Forge. Yes, you absolutely could use Hero Forge. Actually, that would be a very interesting thing for me to do. I might need to make a video about that and maybe talk to Hero Forge about that idea. For fashion, I rolled 12 armor plated. For the weapon/prop, we rolled 5 for construction tools. And for special feature, we rolled 3, which is inhuman skin color or texture. It is indeed a touch cheaper. I just happen to have the bits to make a physical mini. But yes. Fall in love and have to order it. Maybe. Maybe. We'll see. But Hero Forge is definitely a cool way of doing this. I might have to experiment doing it that way as well. I'm also tempted to make use it to like design a site. Oh, hold on. I reached away for something you can't see. To make like a cyberpunk minifigure using it as well, maybe, because I have enough minifigure pieces where I could probably put one together using the Blacklight Sprawl as a roll table. But anyway, that's the inspiration for today. Thank you. I made a couple of really cool ones, actually. I love the idea of using toys in tabletop spaces and tabletop miniatures being toys in themselves. Yeah, use Lego minifigs for D&D when all else failed. Exactly. They are more or less the same size, or at least the, like, let's pull a different one. These kind of, like, base plates are 32. I think they're about 32. Yeah. These are 32 millimeters in diameter, so these actually work really well as tabletop miniatures. It's really cool. Anyway, let's not get too distracted. I was in the middle of deciding about how I wanted to glue the head on this mofo. And we have filed down the neck of this, like a Clamavus head, because it has an antenna in the headphones and also has an unusual skin texture, so it checks multiple boxes. And we're about to go and glue it to this neck. But I wanted to check if this plastic would be stuff that would melt with plastic glue. And I don't think it is. I don't think it is. So we are probably going to have to use regular super glue here, which doesn't give me as much working time as I would like, but that is okay. We've test fitted it enough times where I think I can be bold and kind of just go for it. So we're going to use our... I've used this Loctite one enough now that it's starting to, like, vanish. I've also started to use a Gorilla Glue gel super glue these days for, like, metal miniatures, because it's much more heavy duty. And that has actually done me quite well in terms of being able to get heavier bits and pieces to stick together. Gosh. Checking that the positioning of all this is good. It's looking pretty okay. The annoying thing about super glue is the fact that you have to kind of hold it in place for like a good 30 seconds to get it to sit, and then if it's wrong, you get to suffer. But I mean, the head is definitely a little too big for the mini, but that ungainliness, I think, is probably a cool feature. It does kind of suggest that we're going to be going with a much more exaggerated kind of arm for these. So maybe going for the kind of big robot arm here is the play. We might have to cut off this nub to make it fit the side of it better and put a shield on it. Put a shoulder pad on it to kind of mask it a little bit. But also we have these arms with a weird taser weird taser tool thing, which I think is very cool. I would quite like to use one of these, I think. And we do have one in each arm, so I can attach it to this side. That feels long, though. This arm feels too big for the body. This arm definitely feels too big for the body. I don't think I'll be able to do that. I might have to kind of cut away the tool and attach it to a more reasonable arm. Yeah. That might be the play. Like, we have one normal arm, or we kind of attach two regular arms, and then alter one of them to be carrying the big taser prod thing. I like the fact that he's holding a wrench as well. Definitely gives the big engineer vibe, so I think this will probably be quite sensible. Do we have arms in... Oh, I have an Adeptus Mechanicus arm as well that I could potentially use. Sitting in this kind of shoulder here to hold the staff. That might be one to make it work. Okay. The other thing that I know I want to do is use these armored legs, which requires me to go and do some trimming to get rid of the legs on this and work out a way where I can use both together. There's going to be no graceful way of doing it, really. I'm just going to have to get the big clippers and just do a rough hewing and then gradually kind of file it back to where it needs to be. So we're going to get our big Citadel clippers. and find the right angle for it. Just cut right through that. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, this pouch is definitely not going to survive being attached to the body. So we can just slice that away. Goodbye. And get this leg as well. Ping. Alright. And now it's working out how much we need to remove to get it to sensibly sit on this kind of this body here. Carving away the middle of it is definitely going to be something we have to do, but we probably also have to file down the top of these legs as well to get it to like properly fit. It's not quite there. All right, this might be a little tricky. This might be a little tricky. We're definitely gonna want to get. Oh, should we? Oh, handful of different options here. Put the glue head back on for now. This type of file, because it has a curved surface, might be useful for really scoring out what's behind this, but it takes a long time for it to get started. So we might have to use a bigger file first, and then start working backwards or doing more crafting to get it to where it needs to be. Fortunately, this file works pretty well. I haven't managed to accidentally pop off the head either, which is good. That was the thing I was concerned about, actually. If I was gluing on the head after we'd already done the legs and torso, it can be very easy to accidentally destroy all your work by gripping your mini too hard as you're gluing other bits and pieces together. Just kind of filing all this back. Because we definitely want to have a bit of a hollow inside this, so we can get it to more comfortably fit on the legs. And filing down the legs is also going to have to be a thing we do, I think. I don't think we can get away with just assuming it will sit on a very rounded top of those legs. The color balance is a little off, actually. Can we get the contrast up? Or maybe I just have too much light. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's this light that's making it a bit too much. Okay. Yeah, we will file that down as well, I suppose. Finding options. Yeah, okay. Just continuing to needle away at it until we get it into a position we're happy with. Because it would be quite nice to keep the belt that was molded on. I quite like that. We can also use our craft knife as well to start whittling away at it. Fortunately, this is quite a soft plastic, so whistling away it isn't too bad. Okay, let's do another test fit. It's getting there, but it's how's it sitting in the back as well? That's also a thing to check. It's definitely requires a lot of. I think I'm just gonna have to shave off the top of this rather than trying to desperately get it to fit. I don't think that's going to be the case. In fact, we can probably even use the big clippers to make it happen a bit faster. Yeah, that's already, I think, a much more reasonable thing for it to be attached to. a bit better. It is a little, it's a little vacant in the back. It might be, let's see. Can I shave off the front? Shaving off the front is probably a better thing to do using the file. This way around. Already feeling a little bit better. Okay, okay. Yeah. I may even have to get some milliput and get it to sit in there. Or use some of my liquid green stuff as gap filler. It depends on how much gap there is to fill. I might also have to stop being proud about keeping some of the belt detail and filing it down. Because we're very close now. It's leaning back a little too much. Okay, all right. We are losing this amount from the front. It's a pretty bold cut, actually. I probably shouldn't have been that daring. Oh, that feels a bit more reasonable. That feels a lot more reasonable. How's it feel in the back? Not bad. Without it. Okay, so I guess I just need to go and shave this top part down some more, and then I think we're in there. We can start gluing it in. That was less painful. I had to make more compromises than I would have personally liked. But it wasn't the worst in the world in terms of getting it to where it needed to be. Trying not to accidentally use the file to shave off some of the shoulder pad, the thigh plating stuff as well. But that looks pretty reasonable. Hold on. Maybe I can angle this so you can see it. Still trying to find a way to get it to sit nicely on the body. Just eroding more of the front, but that's okay, we can do that. That's not too difficult to do without it being... Okay. And then also smoothing out the bottom of this as well, actually, probably needs to happen. Yeah, this is definitely not a scientific process to get all this kind of things to fit properly. We just kind of poke at it until it feels even and sits correctly. And switching legs out is, I think, probably one of the more difficult things to do when it comes to kit bashing things, especially if they're from different kits. Oh, man. It is fitting better, and it is both fitting better and not. It does feel like there is a more surface here than what is actually needed. Finding the best way to go and resolve that. Sorry, give me a moment. Because I will admit my attempts at carving that space out is very roughly hewn. So finding... It's so close to being there. That feels there. It's just, yeah, okay, it feels there, but I need a gap filler. Okay, we can do that. That's fine. It means that I might actually end up using a more gel form of glue, so I have a bit more working time in getting it to sit where it needs to. Yeah, it rocks on this point here. What point is that behind that it needs? Okay. Just tiny bits of carving away. It's so very nearly almost there. But also not putting myself in a place where I would accidentally cut myself. Okay, this might be the place where I can start using this style of file to file it back. Which is not a very exciting thing to see, I recognize that. Thank you for being patient while I do an unexciting thing to make the rest happen correctly. Okay. All right. Okay. Is that better? Yeah, actually. That sits without wiggling as much as it did before. It sits okay in the back as well. All right, that's encouraging. Oh, I'm sweating a little bit, actually. Goodness me. Let's get some all-purpose clear glue. This is more of a rubbery, flexible glue rather than a super glue. It does mean that it has quite a long working time. So sometimes it needs support from regular glues. From regular craft glues, but once you get a little bit down, it does manage to both be an effective attachment glue, but also a gap filler, which is kind of what we need. Hey, Tidbits! Good afternoon. I hope you're doing well. Good morning in your time zone. We are working on getting a new cyberpunk miniature made using a randomized roll table that I designed recently. You can view it and get a copy for yourself by typing in !Blacklight into chat. We are currently going through the trials and tribulations of making sure the torso fits correctly where it's supposed to. Oh man. It felt like it was fitting where it's supposed to, and now it's that sits way too high. That sits way too high. Man. Is it more like here? And then that has so much gap in the back. Is this a matter where I have to lose the belt? I may have to lose the belt. Is it? Oh, right. Not necessarily Cyberpunk the tabletop RPG, but Cyberpunk the genre. I will summon the chart for a moment now while I desperately try and recover the issue that I ran into. Here. So I technically actually built it for Cyborg, but you know, you can find all sorts of games to kind of use this kind of scheme with. I think we're just gonna have to lose the belt. The belt makes it sit too high. Okay. It would have been nice to keep the belt detail, but that's just gonna have to go. Kill your darlings. I will remove the image so you can see me go and make this desperate cut. We're gonna cut a little bit short and then file it back down. Okay. Yeah, that is already more sensible as a thing to sit on, I think. That already feels more sensible. I was arrogant in thinking that I could get it to where it needed to. You know, you do these things to find out. Okay, so if we do a little bit more, filing to get the remainder of the belt to go, and I can re-glue it down, and I can probably just use regular super glue this time around and it'll sit correctly. Disappointing that the initial intention did not go entirely to plan, but that looks a lot more sensible than it did before. Okay. And filing these edges to give it a bit more of an angle to it. Go. Test fitting. Okay, that looks reasonable. Okay. And we can get it to sit a bit further back as well, and it would still not look like complete ass. Yeah, it's gonna need a backpack to kind of hide some of the detail, I think. Some of the rough bits, but this looks pretty sensible in terms of the way to proceed. Where did that glue go? This glue. Alright. A little bit of super glue in there. To sit, and we just need to start, since it's super glue and we have a less working time, making sure that it's placed where it needs to be first try. I can see there's a gap on this side here in how we've done it, but that's okay. We can gap fill later. But I guess now it's I should stop fussing with it so it has time to bond correctly. Okay. We have a head, torso, and legs, and now it is definitely the time for arms. We were thinking about getting one of these bad boys to sit on a hand. So we might cut that away and start working at that, because even though this isn't literally a construction tool, the mechanical, like, industrially nature of it, I think, might convey, excuse me, that idea. It might also inform what type of backpack we give this mini when we get there. But yeah. No, roll tables that tie to a genre like cyberpunk or fantasy or whatever are all quite interesting, because ideally you want them to make sense regardless of what specific system you're using them in, right? You want it to be cross-compatible with a wide range of bits and pieces, because I think that is where you get a wider appeal, right? Is just trying to make sure that regardless of what specific system people play or game people play, you can still use it. I'm gonna have to use the knife here. I may actually have to hold it against the base. Give me a sec. Let's put this in focus. There we go. So holding this down using the craft knife to cut away the arm because I do want the wires. It's interesting that there's a lot of modern Games Workshop kits that kind of resist being kit bashed. I think I might have to lose this arm entirely, but that's okay. The arm may be unsalvageable on the other side of this, but I'm not going to be too upset about that. Let's flip the shoulder away then. Oh, actually, I managed to get more of this clipped away than I had thought. Good that it's in my favor. But yeah, no, Games Workshop tend to release more kits these days that are really pretty, but resist the conceit of kit bashing. You know, they all kind of come in a way that's designed to be push fit, where you're not building the bits and pieces yourself so much as following the instructions to put it together. Let's go and change the focus again, so we have this distance. Oh, cool. Come on, do me a solid. Yeah, there we go, we got it. So doing something like this, where we have the arm, this Adeptus Mechanicus arm sticking to the hand. That might be it'll be interesting to see if we can get a way where it will actually connect up nicely. That might be a little tricky, but if we can get them to sit together like that, that'd be really nice. This has been sat for a while now, so hopefully that is set. It's a little wonky, but that just gives it character. This is definitely going to be a process where I'm going to be using some kind of filler agent to be able to get this all to sit together correctly. Deciding on the best way to attach the arms and things like that. I'm still torn on what arms I want to use. I still kind of want to use this wrench arm. I think it definitely makes a lot of sense in what we're trying to build this character for as an engineer. And I think it connects up quite easily. I don't have to do too much. We do also have this Necromunda arm. It's a lot more Mad Maxy in terms of its design, with the spikes and the armor plating on it that way. That might be more fun. I'm willing to ask the chat, actually, about which one people would prefer. So, this character's left arm. Do we want to go for the punky one or the robot one? I will leave it to chat to opine on which we prefer. We could even start a poll. I don't mind. Yeah, you know, why not? Why not start a poll? I'd be down for doing that. Give me a second. I will work out or remember how to do a poll. We want a poll. Which arm? My gosh. Do we want it to be punky or robotic? We can allow additional votes and set the time for like 2 minutes. Start poll. Right, okay. That poll is now going. So do let me know. I think maybe the bulky one. They look like one of the Milsec gangs. Oh, Milsec like military security? Either way, to have these on camera again while the poll is going, please do vote for which one you prefer. Yeah. Funny that like military security and private security would also count as a gang, which I think is true. I do think that's true. I don't know whether that's necessarily the intentional indictment of police and police-like companies. They use heavy Milsec augments to go psycho often. Yeah. So you're definitely like a cyberpunk, like specifically cyberpunk TTRPG, like the Artelrisian player, huh? Because I played a little bit of Cyberpunk 2020 back when I was 18, 17. Only a couple sessions worth. Our GM at the time was much more of a GURPS player. Still is. Still really into kind of simulationist style tabletop RPGs. But I've not actually played since then. I do actually have the PDF for Cyberpunk Red, but it's not been a thing I've been able to organize a game for since. Haven't gotten to play, but I've watched and liked the look of much of it. Okay. And looking at our time as that's run out, robotic is one. So we're gonna go for the bulky robotic arm. Okay. And then it'll be a matter of also deciding on the angle we have of it as well. And I may need to file that shoulder down some more. In fact, I think I will have to file that shoulder down more to get it to sit correctly, but that's fine. Easy enough to do. In fact, to a degree, it might even be easier to just use the clippers to go and take us there. But I think filing it is doing what it needs to do. Yeah. Just shaving off additional layers of it gradually until it's the smoothness and the fit that we are looking for. It is definitely the kind of shoulder that would be holding onto a gosh darn rifle, I think is what this is supposed to be. Like this with the missing hand is holding onto the other end of a rifle. So technically not this, but we will find a way. Where there is a will, there is a way. Should we glue that on first? Should we be bold and glue that on first? Let's glue it on first. Yeah. I keep putting the glue back when I do need it to hand. Okay. Needs to be higher up than that. Maybe forward. Yeah, there we go. That's a shoulder. I'm just pressing it there until it holds in place. This is definitely going to be a freaky looking mini when we're done. I said at the start of this, like, oh, you know, I don't want them looking, I'm not a fan of making minis look too gross or whatever, but you know what? Sometimes they need to look like freaks though. So we're into it. We're gonna make that happen. It does now make me really want to use this more robotic arm instead of the arm, so it actually kind of looks to scale. Got to play a session of Eclipse Phase. High death power player tabletop, but it was somewhat relevant. Oh, sure. I've heard of Eclipse Phase, but not like played it myself. What did you think of it? How did you find the experience? Yeah, I think we're definitely going to be getting him to hold them, definitely, to hold the taser across their body like this. I might end up having to remove the wiring or do something with the wiring, like heat it up to bend it round so it's not floating off into oblivion. Is going to be also a pretty big concern here. Oh, we can get it to sit this way, and then this becomes a bit of a belt around the waist instead, which might be a good way of making that, obscuring that, actually. That might be clever. Okay. Fortunately, these two pieces are actual plastic, of the same kind of hard plastic. It was really fun for more of a joking, let me try this level of roleplay. Sure. Sometimes it's nice to go and play games where you don't have the really severe, like, emotional drama investment of things, right? You can just be like, oh, you know, this time that we're playing, it ain't that deep. What might be the play here is clipping this off and then gluing it back in later once we've got the pose where we want it. Because this is so clearly almost where it needs to be. But yeah, okay. How do I want to handle this? Thinking. Sorry. Talking it through while I'm thinking. Yeah, that is so close to where it needs to be, and then this part is like weird and backwards, and we need to go and do some fiddling to get it to sit where it needs to. But the idea of it sitting around the waist, I think, is very cool. Let us, again, be bold and daring. Where are my small clippers? Small clippers are here. We're going to cut it off here. I do have other wires that I can use, and we can fiddle the wires back into where they're supposed to be. I have enough spare wire pieces where we might be able to go and make it work. But that sits very sensibly, I think. I was a biochemist, Norse pagan dwarf. Used a shield made of a dwarf from the very first fight. The two retracting tether axes. So it's very cyber fantasy then, hitting that kind of Shadowrun vibe. Neat. That's cool. Yeah, no, I think that looks good. That looks sensible to me in terms of how that's all fitting. All right. Contact points like this can be a little fiddly for these kind of minis, so we're gonna go and get some plastic glue on both sides of the contact point. This one definitely needs to be lathered up. Okay. And we're gonna... Gosh, when you test fit it so many times, and then you actually go and put it together, and then suddenly it just doesn't fit the way that you managed to get it to fit anymore. And you cry. Holding it. Most of my interactions, including hiding myself using the door in an entrance and bashing people with objects around me. Ah, yeah. Using, for fuck's sake, using the surroundings to fight for you. Very Jackie Chan. That's cool. I wonder if I can get it to twist a little bit. Get it about here. Okay, that wrist contact point looks good. I'm not gonna fuck with it for a bit. Let it actually sit. This is looking pretty reasonable though. I think we are definitely gonna need to put a big backpack on this guy. To give it a bit more weight. The waist is so thin. It feels a little offset. But I do also like the idea. Where did the big robo arm go? Getting this going. Like almost a spinal attachment. Yeah, we're gonna be using some other wires and stuff that we have, and seeing if we can't get it to connect up properly. I might also have to go back to my bits box to see if I can find a proper, like a cybery spinal attachment backpack that we can use. I'm pretty sure I have something like that we can wheel out. But yeah, I'm definitely enamored with the the idea of using this robo arm here to give some weight, some counterbalance to it. So he's really giving it like really wide shoulders to counteract the skinny waist. I think would make a really interesting silhouette. I think what we need to go and do is auger a bit of a hole in here in this shoulder for the socket for this ball to sit in correctly. Yeah. No, the backpack and whatever accessories we add, I think, is what's going to make it. It started raining outside. Really hard. Wow. Oh, it can be quite nice sipping coffee on an afternoon, doing some craft work. Not listening to craft work because I would be sent to copyright music jail. Just continuing to poke at this. Just digging enough of a space in here. There we go. That seems promising. Let's clip some of that excess away. It might need to... it does need to be deeper than that. It definitely needs to be deeper than that to really sit, but that's okay. We are measuring as we go, but it is a good sign that it is... working correctly. Gosh, this cheap plastic is weird and flaky. I do not like working with it very much, but it being cheap does mean that it was easy to get hold of. And we can probably use the file to make that hole a bit wider as well. Yeah, it's going to need to be a little bit wider, but that is almost where it needs to be. And this is what this kind of this style of file is for. Actually, I might even be able to use my craft knife to kind of carve away at the edge here. Lots of additional plastic debris. Probably the remnants of the glue from the original thing that was filed in here. I'm going to snap the tip if I do that too much. Yeah, maybe using this file is maybe a bit more prudent. Just slowly working away at filing this part down. The torso is really glued in nicely because I've not managed to snap it off the legs, and I'm putting a little bit of force behind trying to file this all away. All right, let's give this another test fit. Oh, much better. It's almost there. Not wide enough to just pop right inside. I would really like it to actually sit in the shoulder joint a little bit. Which might mean I'm being a little bit reckless in terms of connecting this all up, but that's fine. Trying to maintain a degree of finger safety. Yeah, there's all sorts of whatever glue that they use to attach the separate parts of this mini together. Really, really gunky. Don't like it. We might use the hand drill again. There is also a degree of shaving this down a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. See if we can... drill. All right. Okay. Again, gripping to watch me just slowly work away at this and try and get it to sit. It's almost there. It feels like it's fitting, but not quite. The fact that it's so close is what's pissing me off. Even have to individually eke out the end of that. Okay. Okay, right. 5th or 6th time's the charm. Okay, I am at the point where I'm about to go, fuck it, we'll just shave some of this ball joint off. Yeah, that's gonna have to be the play, but that's okay. That's okay. So we are deciding, making sure I shave down the correct side of it. We're shaving down the back a little bit. So this side needs to be worn down a little bit more. Doesn't need to be much, just enough to go and warp the shape of it a little bit. Maybe even a little bit from the bottom. All right, test fit. In this hobby, I'd see myself fashioning broken sewing needles to force an attachment, but this likely mends better. Oh, true. I could, you know, go for stuff like pinning methods and things like that to get stuff to sit. That takes time in its own way. That joint feels a lot better now. That feels like that sits in a lot more smoothly. All right, so now it's the process of positioning it. How do I want this arm to be posed? Like this kind of way feels good. It's like a hey, how's it going? Oh my gosh, hi. Hey babes. Hi Ruben, how you doing? You're right. Hope you're having a good Saturday. Hope you're enjoying International Non-Binary Visibility Week. We are deciding how we want to go, and actually this kind of like upwards posing on the arm definitely makes it feel a lot more kind of like come at me, which is pretty cool. I quite like that. All right, We'll go for it with that kind of intent then. Nice. So we're gonna go and get some of that super glue in there. Hey, you know, you're good. It's not, you know, it's not a holiday. It's not a national event that is highlighted as much as some other kind of Pride events, you know? So, no bad. I only really learned about it this week myself. So, okay, that's already set in quite a... The snatched waist gives it kind of a skeletal look as well, actually, which is interesting. But this definitely feels like they are coming as a threat. Okay. Nice, nice, nice. Now, I think looking at the backpack is definitely going to be another... Because there's nothing going on the back here, so we need to find something that we can put here to give it a bit of robustness and also to feel like this is all connected up, right? Actually, now that this is set in a pose that we like, I'm going to use a bit of a touch of the plastic glue in the recesses of that, just to get it to fuse a bit nicer. Just kind of touching it in the gaps in there to make sure it's sitting nicely. And then it forms a nice strong bond rather than just being vaguely attached. Yeah, clunky is definitely, you know, a lot of the Cyberpunk minis I've built so far have been very sleek and clean in design, and this one is definitely much more kind of like, ah yes, I augmented myself in a way that was a bad idea and now I maybe regret it kind of energy. I dig that. Let me rechange the focus a little bit so you can kind of properly see what's going on here. I paid a lot of cyber credits to give myself the Mega Man Legends body. I mean... So yeah, we have these armored like knight legs attached to a warrior babe body with a very screaming head. I love this, actually. This is so this is so janky, but it's great. It's great. I actually adore how janky this is. I mentioned, I was talking earlier in the stream about Sid from Toy Story just kind of connecting various toys together to make something, and this definitely has that energy. Definitely has that energy. I adore it. Okay, let's go and... Well, hold on. We have... Is this shoulder pad too much? It is too much. And I don't really want to use it as a backpack because I've used that in different ways before. We have our... We have this AdMech backpack that we can use. But I do like the idea of specifically going digging for something else, but this could work. You know, it wouldn't take too much wiggling to get this to sit with the wiring as well. Different Bionicle models. Yes. No, this is very, very Bionicle-y. Where was the waist part that I cut away? This. Is there still something I can do in terms of getting this to kind of connect up? Actually, that sits at the lower back quite nicely. That connects up very, very nicely. I might be able to blag something here. We might just glue that bit in place and then find a backpack, and then I think we're in there. We might be Gucci. Okay, all right. It'll take a little bit of wiggling to make this fit really, really nicely. But we can wiggle the tethers to get them to where they need to sit properly. But it also, it hides some of the sins of the bad kit bashing that I was doing. Used to take mine apart and use the parts to make one big Bionicle. I mean, there are Lego fans who still talk about how sick Bionicle is and want to return. And I respect that. I respect that energy a lot. Just finding the right way to get it to sit where it needs to. Did I glue this properly in the right place? No, I might have to put the glue. I might have to put the glue on this part rather than on the waist. Let me get that going. Just light dabs along the bottom edge. Being careful to not stick my own fingers. Non-binary themselves and specifically went out of their way to be terrifying. Yes! Yes. I love that. I am enjoying that we are cementing the lore for this character as we go. Just finding the right angle to make this all sit correctly, but I think we're there. Gender euphoric surgery, become a metal beast. Yes! Hell yeah. All right. I'm gonna let that sit. And then I'm gonna go and let's go and get the right. We need to move all this shit out the way and maybe tidy up a little bit, and then we can get the Kitbash box open. So we're gonna go and move some of these bits and pieces that I know I'm not using off to the side, because we need to find an appropriate backpack and maybe glue on some additional tools. We'll see. I haven't forgotten about making sure the tethers connect. We will do that. I'm just finding what backpack we truly want. But no, I love the idea that they're kind of like, I don't want to lose my incredibly snatched waist, but I do want a gigantic robo-death arm. Actually, we can keep that here. That's fine. We don't need to lose that. We're going to get one of the Kitbash boxes out. Covered in stickers. Oops, sorry. Have a look in here. This bit here has lots of backpacks and capes and things like that. We've got stuff like giant wings. We have the speaker backpacks, which I use on things a lot, but I don't really want to use one on this. I use that a little too often. I don't want to go too often back to the well. We have this. We have an Electro Priest giant backpack. That might be one. Trying to find something nice and futuristic we can use. Additional robo arm. We have part of a Space Marine backpack. Against another part of an Admech-y one. Let's see. Trying to find specifically robotic ones in my collection. I have fewer robotic backpacks than I remember. Which is a bit of a shame. I have a lot more regular style camping backpacks and the like. This might do. That might do. Let's see. I swear I had... Ah, here we go. The priest one might work as a big capacitor, true. Sorry. Continuing to rummage. This one as well. So after doing some digging, I quite like this one. This one's a little plain, but could be used. And this is so huge and ostentatious. It might be between these two. We'll go and do some test fits and see if we can make something work with these two. And for now, these other ones can go back in the box for another day. I need to find another thing I can use these giant cyber wings for. There's one miniature that I've already kitbashed using it, but we can always do more. We can always do more. Okay. Summoning our hero back into the fray. And then we have this as well as an option. Okay. So we have, now that we've got this little waistband here to kind of cover up some of my indiscretions in building, we have this AdMech one, which is pretty straightforward. You know, that would go and sit pretty easily on. Like that. We have this one, which also has some pipes on it and is a bit smaller. Yeah, this is like the less ostentatious option in terms of backpack. And it fits quite nicely too. And then we have this huge motherfucker here, which I believe would be sitting like that on them. This might be too big. This is cool, but I have a feeling this might be too big. I'm personally feeling this one for filling out the space, but not, yeah, it matches the piping that we've already got going, and then I can do a last bit of wiggling to kind of get the remainder of these wires to actually connect up with the rest of the figure. We do need to do a bit of filing on the back, I think, to get it to, maybe? We might not even need to do too much filing. Like this, the back of the mini is pretty roughed up at this point from having removed all these other bits and pieces. But I think we'd be able to get it to sit, especially once I've base sprayed this, so it's all in the same color. We should be able to get it to rock correctly. All right. This might be one where we use the slow glue again to get some working time. Let's just use the file very briefly on the back of this. We don't want to remove too much. This is just to rough up the surface so glue adheres to it a little better. Getting our long, slow glue. And dabbing it on the back here. Get quite a lot of glue. Very sticky, but that's fine. Gives us, oh gosh. Is whiplash to be all over my hands. Great, hold on. Spare cleaning paper, get rid of that. Blech. As somebody who does a lot of craft things, don't really like getting stuff like glue and paint on my hands very much. The sensation is not very pleasant. Fortunately, because this glue is quite slow drying, it can sit there for a bit and not be a problem. I didn't get it on myself, did I? No. Okay, we're fine. Right. And then we need this glue. Let's not put that on my... yeah, there we go. What way up are we holding it? We're holding it up this way. We're going to be getting it along the top edge here. Hold on. Oh god, that's too much. Please. It was stuck and then it all came out at once. Gosh darn it. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's stuck to my finger. Cool. Cool. This is going terribly. Yeah, the excess amount of super glue has made it a nightmare to touch. Okay, this needs to go down and the super glue needs to dry. It is unusable in this state. It's too sticky. I need to wash my hands. God damn it. Okay, give me a minute. I will not be 5 minutes, but I'll be right back. Hold on. Ah, okay, sorry. Oh, thanks for waiting. I needed to get the glue off my hands, and I now need to work out. And this is now stuck to the... No, it's not fully stuck to the table. Good. I do now need to sort of work out the best way to approach... Kapow! Major damage! Thanks. The best way to approach getting this to sit where it needs to sit now. It's fine. It's still sticking to my fingers though, fuck's sake. Okay. It needs to sit further to the left. There we go. Oh my god. This is, while this is sticky, is definitely made everything a lot harder because it is not fully dried. Oh my gosh. Ah, I see why it's not sticking. It's because the pipe work in the corner is interfering with the thing, so I need to clip this away. Just a little bit. There we go. Now it should probably stick, and I'm going to have to reapply a small amount of super glue. Just a small amount. There we go. Small, reasonable amounts of super glue, and not the terrifying amounts that ruined everything. Ha-ha. Ha-ha-ha-ha-ha. And now it sits, and now it's fine. Yeah. Now I just needed to do a little bit of clipping. But I now definitely have big patches of super glue on my fingers, and I hate it. I was saying not even like 10 minutes ago that, oh man, the feeling of like lots of glue or paint on my hands I don't like. And I am now in glue hell. Welcome to glue hell. Now, we are pretty close to being done. What I think we need now is to get this wire to connect up properly with the backpacks behind it without destroying the hand here, without bending this too much, because if it's too strenuous of a connection, it's going to break. That can be achieved by heating it. I can get a hairdryer, for example, heat up the plastic there and then physically kind of bend it round. I admit that some of the wiring here, because I cut it away from a larger part, is a bit chunky. So I might need to just fully replace those wires with something else. We do have stuff like the wires here that might be usable. You know, this kind of replacement, which wouldn't be too difficult, actually. Holding it closer to camera so people can see. Wouldn't be too difficult to do. Just, you know. But one of those wires is textured and the other is smooth, so I have to kind of make sure that they match. There is the potential of individually rewiring them both. But that would be also a bit of a ball ache. I went on a gluon exchange reactor. Oh, now you're just bullying me. Thanks. Cool. At the very least, all of that is sitting where it needs to be and is mercifully no longer sticky. Yeah, I'm not quite sure about getting the remainder of those wires to connect up where they're supposed to. It would be really cool if I could make it happen. What might be the call is to snip both of these wires away and then rewire them. We could use this tentacle wire to connect up in the back here. That might be the play. It means we lose this wire, and this wire is also pretty cool, but trying to think of the easiest way to make it all match up on the other side of it is the big plan, is the big challenge, right? Yeah, okay. Doing rewiring is a pain, but I have done that on a Mini before, and I can do it again. It just means we get the one cable instead of two. Could fill in that backpack gap. Yes. Yes, the additional wire, I think, will properly sneak its way into this space here and make those connections make sense once we get it in there. But first of all, we gotta go and... Oh, and it crosses over in the front in a really cool way too. Boo. Boo. That's a shame. It might just be... Could we? That might be useful. So clipping these off once they're stuck together and then using like this thing here maybe is an attachment piece. So replacing it and then getting it to tuck around the back. That might be an interesting way of making that work. Okay. We can try that first, and then if it doesn't work, I'll need to replace the cable anyway, right? So we will attempt it that way first. Losing sensation in one finger because it's covered in glue. I hate it. I hate it so much. Okay. Finding the sensible way to cut it without destroying the work I've already done. Oh yeah. I'm gonna have to re-glue the hand in, I think. You know what? Re-gluing the hand in is not the end of the world, and it gives us, it makes it a little easier for us to work. So we're just gonna pull that apart. And find the right angle for me to go and cut this away. Okay. Cool. So we are... What? Gluing the hand in that sort of way. Sorry, doing it on camera so you can actually see. Yeah. And then using this as an extender to get it to connect up with the backpack in the back. Okay. So we're going to cut this off maybe here. So we still have a little bit of wire that we can see at the end of this. Flattening off this section here so we can glue these two together in a way that makes sense. I even need to file it down a little bit, but we'll be able to make it work. Okay. Another instance of being bold. Getting our plastic glue. Laying it on quite thick on this contact point here. You definitely want to melt the plastic a little bit. And then getting the other on the end here, also to get that bit to melt just a touch. Connecting these two. Oh gosh. Getting these two to sit together. That doesn't look too bad. There's the connection there. We do have some working time as well. Might be too long, in fact. It's just a bit too long. Just a bit too long, but this is promising as a conceit. We might, in fact, even cut this back a little bit more. God, at this point, you're definitely working with like millimeters. I can't cut it back any more than that, really. We're cutting this back a little bit more. Okay. I'm going to reapply that. We're going to reapply that plastic glue. Along this edge too. I definitely won't be able to cut this back anymore, so this is as short as I can cut this. I'm getting these to sit together. Actually, that sits in a very nice way. I'm pretty happy with how this sits. That looks good. That looks pretty sensible, actually, in terms of how that connects together. And then we're going to test fit it. So it goes in the backpack and this can still connect to the arm? Just about. Okay, right. So then we need to go and get the glue back on the wrist here. And on here. I'm going to re-dip that in. Working with plastic glue, it does mean that the bond is a bit flexible until it fully cures. But it does mean also that I can work the connection points a little bit while we are fucking with it. Please, please. Where's the wrist mount? It's there. Okay. Okay. That part is secure. Damn it! I'm very close to this being a successful venture here. Very close. It's just getting all of it to sit properly while I go and put it all in place. There we go. That's almost it. The connection back here is now not as good. But we can re-wiggle that. We do actually have tweezers here, which I can use to reposition. Oh man. Could this be it? You need that to hold firm. And that's poking inside the back cut correctly now. And these need to be together. All right. Okay. That is not going to be a very secure connection until it cures. But it does hold in place. It does hold in place. I just have to not fuck with it until it cures properly. I kind of want to twist the wrist of this so it sits up a bit more, so it's not obscuring the face. There we go. Yeah. And then once that plastic glue cures a little bit, it's probably good to go. All right. Two things left to do. One is give it a base, which we can do now. I'm gonna go and get a bit of blue tack. So the figure can sit in it while I go and get my box of bases. Whoa! The box of bases. It feels pretty straightforward to go and get one of the Necromunda small bases and use that, I think. This one will do. Yeah, the mini is definitely the right size for a Necromunda base. Okay. Just have to go through the process of gluing it in without disturbing the work I've already done. But we're in a pretty good place at this point. Just don't use too much glue this time, please. I'm usually very good about the amount of control I have over the amount of glue I'm using. That was a very a surprising outlier in terms of how that went. Oh yeah, that connected basically in the exact right place first try. There we go. I do wonder about getting a shoulder pad for the left arm or not. For the right arm, rather. Or not. But in terms of general detailing, that pipe connects in a really good place there. That works really well. Glad we were able to go and get that to work. All right. Let's go and find a shoulder pad. I'm pretty sure I have one. That's smaller than the kind of like Space Marine style one too. Give me a sec while I get the box of tricks back open. Shoulder pads are in here. Shoulder pads and capes. Just carefully picking through until I find something that is of an appropriate size. I do not want too large of a shoulder pad. This is the one I was thinking of. This one. Is there any others? Oh, there's others of that same kind of size. Okay, cool. Alright. Shoulder pad obtained. Applied to the job at the National Archives. Oh, hey. Please let a bitch become an archivist. I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for you. That definitely fits you as well. I think you would do very, very well at a job like that. There's a couple of stray bits on this that need to be cleaned up. Again, very hard to do when some of my hands have super glue on them still. A sense of touch is surprisingly important to get these things to work properly, yeah? My dexterity and pressure sensitivity is definitely a lot worse. But yeah, kind of getting it to sit like that to hide the joint a little bit is what I'm thinking. Old shit, yeah, I fuck with it. Perfect. Yeah, no, I think that would be an easy include as well. I don't think it would be too difficult to get it to sit on it properly. I guess it's kind of deciding the attachment point, but yeah, anything to kind of obscure some of the horrors of the gluing that we were doing previously is the plan. We can use the slow tacky glue, in fact, I think is probably going to be the best course of action here. Oh gosh. There's too much, but we do have a way to remove some of it. Just stop. It's so stringy. Right. Make sure we're gluing it the right way up as well. That would be a useful thing to do. Oh my gosh. This stream is definitely Nathan struggles with too much glue, the stream. But getting it to sit is pretty easy. There we go. Just finding the right angle to get it to feel like it's there comfortably. Actually pretty nice to have something with the working time as well, actually. Right, that looks pretty good. All right. No, Ruben, no. Nope, That's how you burn your fingers. Working with hot glue is its own danger. But yeah, no, we've got the armor plating, we've got the antenna, we've got the inhuman skin tone, and we have the construction tools. We have made a mini. I think that actually came out quite nicely, and the silhouette of it I think is actually very cool. But yeah. I'm for a couple hours work, especially since in the middle of kitbashing, you always have a process being like, oh no, we're in Struggle Town. We've made something that is probably going to end up looking bad, TM. But I think we've managed to round this out into something very sensible. Over the top, but still like sensible, right? Because this arm, for example, is clearly too large for this body, but I think the exaggeration of it has made it feel sensible in the end instead of mismatched. Cool. All right. Well, I'll have to go and paint this at some point on a future stream. But for now, I think we can call it now while I wait for the glue and stuff to dry and I kind of do additional final fiddling with it. Yeah. Hey, this is going to be fun to paint. This is going to be fun to paint once it's fully done. Let's go and prepare a shorter stream than we do normally. To remind everybody once more, this mini was put together using the Blacklight Sprawl, a randomized roll table for making cyberpunk characters. Not just for the R. Talarissian cyberpunk game series, but for stuff like Cyborg and Kill Sample Process, or Stargrave, or Reality's Edge, so on and so forth. There's a wide variety of tabletop games that use cyberpunk miniatures, and you can make your own using this. If you'd like to obtain it, you can get one yourself for free. By going to sixofspades.itch.io /the Blacklight Sprawl, like it is in the chat, or you can just go to sixofspades.itch.io and it's the first option there at time of recording, and you can obtain a copy of the Blacklight Sprawl for yourself for free. A thing I really want to do is have other designers and kitbashers. You don't need to be a content creator. You can just be somebody who likes building minis as a hobby, to go and give this roll table a whirl and link and send me what stuff you make using it, because I would be over the moon to see other people use this randomized roll table to create their own cool little minis together. I think it'd be really neat. Anyway, with all that out of the way, let's go and pass on the love to somebody else. Let's go see who is live at the moment. Valthic's currently live. Good miniature painting friend of mine is painting Django Fett, working through some of the Star Wars Shatterpoint minis. Let's go pass it over and get that going. All right. I have been your androgynous AI game show host from the future caster. This has been the Neoncaster Twitch channel, and I will see you all most likely next Thursday for some Dice Duo content with Rafi the Owl. I will see you all then. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody. Farewell!